Yo, happy
Hey
Monday,
everyone.
guys.
Happy Monday. It's
Welcome into when
the
is it?
Rundown Mondays.
You look like
Monday.
you were actually looking to try and see if you could say the date, though. You were like, "Is it the?"
Not gonna do that.
All right. Yeah, no. But guys, we hope you guys are having a happy Memorial Day. We definitely want to say that because we know this is gonna go out then. So happy Memorial Day. Hope you guys are staying safe. Hope you guys had a fun weekend and are excited about the week ahead.
And if this is the first time that you're with us, we welcome you to Say That channel. We're unapologetic about talking about the things that we're passionate about, that we care about. So our Monday rundowns are a lot of fun for us because we get to delve into things that Winston and I feel like more people should be talking about, whether it's relationships, dealing with like the human mind, the human body, just how we interact with each other in general. All of those things are really important. And then we leave our Wednesdays for talking more business talk.
And that topic, yeah. And the AI one's definitely been doing really well. So if you guys have not had a chance to check out any of the other episodes we have for Monday Rundown, definitely make sure you go and check out the playlist. You know, play around with our page, Say That channel. There are a lot of great tools there, and they're just going to continue to get better and better. So without any further ado, let's jump into today's topic and get into the video we're going to look at. So guys, today's topic in question is,
are you arguing?
Are you arguing?
I think it's possible.
Well, I'll let Janelle go.
I'll start off by saying that yeah, I mean, I don't think we argue correctly. I teach adults in graduate school, and I think they just don't understand how to have conflicts in general. So what they do is they just run away from it and then just let it fester, and then things typically become passive aggressive, and that's not healthy either. I think we're not really taught how to argue or how to have disagreements and talk through it. And I think right now in today's culture and society, you're like canceled, or like people are triggered, and so they don't want to talk. And I don't know. To me, it's not really a healthy form of not being in agreement. I think we should probably all join a debate team, right? Because that'll like teach us how to do it well. But I will say that I myself, like if I had to make this very personal, I'm working on this. Like I recognize that when I get emotional about something, I need to like, one, recognize that I'm really emotional, and then two, like dial it back and like, where are those emotions coming from? Why do I feel hurt, angry, or upset? Like maybe frustrated, anxious, I don't know, whatever, or all of them. Like, what exactly am I feeling? And then like, why am I feeling it? And then maybe, I don't know, giving words or voice to that. I have said for a very long time that it takes an extremely mature adult to be able to describe exactly what they're feeling in the moment that they're feeling it, and to describe it like at that time, like in the moment. So if people could do that, I think it would help with arguments. I think it would help with disagreements.
Why do you think that?
I think right now, when people have disagreements, it gets emotional really quickly, and people don't have language to describe even the emotions that they're feeling. And so in absence of being able to do that, you just start like yelling at each other and no one's listening.
Fight or fight. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking before we got on camera, we were talking about the book Crucial Conversations. People typically during a crucial conversation, so in a disagreement, in an argument, whatever, people typically do two things. They either get quiet or they become violent. And so getting quiet could mean like, again, they ignore you, they ghost you, they like don't say anything, like literally physically get quiet or silent and don't say anything. Right? It could turn passive aggressive. And then violent is like people are now yelling, they're saying things that are could be even derogatory, trying to belittle what somebody else says, or just belittle who they are as a person, so that way no one listens to them, because you're trying to make them seem like
tear them down. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So So if we can, I think awareness is the biggest step in this. If you know you're becoming quiet or going into silence, or if you know you're going to violence, then I think that's the first step. And then you can be like, okay, why? Why do I feel like I'm going into that space? What's going on? What do I really want to say? What am I really trying to communicate? And a lot of times I think it's like the emotion behind whatever, the agreement or the stance or the opinion is. And for someone to disagree with that, the fact that it elicits such an emotion, I don't know. Then there's like this whole thing where like people think they're not supposed to have emotion, and then you're wrong if you haven't. But that's not true. Like you can have whatever emotions you have. You can have the feelings. It's about talking through it. I feel like is the difficult part. Anyway, that's my.
So I agree with a lot of what you had to say. Some key points that stood out is definitely I agree that I don't think as a whole we are taught. I've never had the opportunity to do a debate class.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if the skills you'd learn in that would translate to what I'm thinking about in terms of like a relationship or maybe like a romantic relationship. Or even certain things like even like maybe in a work environment, if it's about gathering facts and how to articulate yourself. But I definitely think the point you made about our emotions and our awareness around it is one of the biggest factors in why I agree that we don't know how to argue well, or we're arguing incorrectly. And I think the old adage is when emotions are high, intellect is low, or is IQ is low. Please, somebody in the comments correct me. I hope I didn't butcher that too far, but I definitely can attest to that as well. Where it's like when you're feeling all those emotions, even in being aware of it, being then able to articulate that, to your point, Janelle, in that moment to the person you're arguing with or to the group of people you're having the conversation or argument with in a way that doesn't allow your emotions to escalate so it turns into yelling. I'm thinking back to a time where we were having a team meeting. I don't know if you remember this. We're at Stacy's place, and I was sharing an opinion that I had about, I cannot remember what the person, I don't remember exactly what took place, but I definitely remember what I said. Another guy in the team felt I was being rude to one of our teammates and felt it was his place to defend her. And in my mind, it was, I didn't even think I was doing anything wrong, but his awareness of what he thought was going on, he thought his response was be to step in there and defend her. And I just remember it not going the way I wanted. And I did what you said. It was like a flight or fight. And I just remember flying. Like it was in my mind, it was, I'm just not going to even add to this anymore because I did not know how to take his criticism, his response the right way. And so I didn't know how to move forward past that point. I know, I feel like it had, and you were there, Janelle, but I think it had gotten into a little back and forth. And I just remember after that part, just thinking this, like, I just remember shutting down emotionally. And that the whole point of that meeting was to all of us to come together. And it didn't go that way for me because I did not know how to address what we're going to get into today. I didn't know how to have a good argument. I actually, it was flight or fight for me. And I just chose to flight. And so this to me is definitely something that I'm excited to get into. And today we have a Harvard negotiator, Dan Shapiro, who's going to share his insights on the topic at hand. And guys, before we get into that, make sure you drop your ideas, your comments below. Let us know maybe some experiences you've had where an argument didn't go the way you wanted. And let's hear what Dan has to say about that. There we go.
I feel uncomfortable around conflict.
Now we're here today to find out how to argue.
But conflict is useful. The question is, how do you deal with conflict? most effectively. Here we go. I am author of Negotiating the Non-Negotiable, How to Resolve Your Most emotionally charged conflicts. Have you found yourself in an argument that felt so frustrating, so at a core aggravating?
That's the silliest opinion I've ever heard.
It felt just non-negotiable. Well, congratulations, you're a human being. We all experience conflict in our lives. And seeing what's going on in our world today, my hunch is you were probably having at least one of these conflicts about politics. Our country has fallen into what I believe is a tribal trap. Anything that other side says, I shall not believe, I shall not give any credibility to, and I'm going to do everything I can to prove I'm right, you're wrong, and to stifle you down, to raise me up. The problem is not with the what. What are we arguing about? The problem is with the how.
How should we argue?
How can we be more effective? And what I've found is that there's three big barriers that we can actually overcome to have more effective conversations. The big things: 1, identity; 2, appreciation; and 3, affiliation. Let's start with identity.
Now, first of all, this is a hot issue.
Why do we get so emotional in these conflict situations? It often goes back to something deeper: identity. What are the core values, the core beliefs that are feeling threatened inside of you as you're having that conversation with the other side? The moment your identity gets hooked in these conflicts, all of a sudden your emotions become 100 times more powerful. Boy, this is a wholly different conflict now. It's now your pride. Your sense of self is on the line. You need to know who you are and what you stand for. What are the values and beliefs that are driving me to fight for this stance on this issue? The more you understand who you are, the more you can try to get your purpose met and stay balanced, even when the other threatens those core values and beliefs. Each side wants to feel appreciated, and yet the last thing they want to do is to appreciate the other side. Problem.
Listen and understand.
When you're in the midst of the conflict, don't talk. Take the first 10 minutes. Consciously listen to the other side. What's the value behind their perspective? What's the logic, the rationale? Why do they hold this perspective on immigration or healthcare? Once you truly understand and see the value in their perspective, let them know, I hear where you're coming from. And you know what? That makes sense. There is nothing more in the world that we like than to feel appreciated. Recognize your power to appreciate them. Third, affiliation. What's the emotional connection like between you and the other side? We typically approach these conflict situations as me versus you. My opinion on healthcare versus yours. My party's perspectives on immigration versus yours. That's just going to leave the two of you like rams butting heads.
Find common ground.
Turn that other person from an adversary into a partner. So it's no longer me versus you, but the two of us facing the same shared problem. Ask the other person, look, what's your advice on how we can get as many of our interests met at the same time? Change the nature of your conversation. Now you put these three things into practice, it can transform your relationships. Imagine what would happen if we started a revolution, but a positive revolution of greater understanding, greater appreciation, greater affiliation, how we could transform politics, how we could transform our country and ultimately our world. I believe it's possible, but it starts with each one of us.
Get smarter with videos from the world's biggest.
That was really good.
That really was. Guys, sorry about the technical delays. I don't know how bad it was on your side, but I know it was tripping out on mine.
It was a little bit more on my side.
Okay.
I did notice it this time. But what I think is really interesting is that he gave 3 clear things that we can do. So one, being quiet and listening and just telling somebody that you appreciate them and can understand, right, their point of view. The third one was, the third one was like, how can we get together, right? So turn your adversary into your partner.
Yeah, the goal, like essentially the goal of the argument.
Right. And then I forget the second one already. Oh, shoot.
No, I'll go. We'll actually list them out throughout the thing. So you remember it now?
Well, no, but what I was going to say is like, I loved that you gave an example of something that you can reflect back on and think like, oh man, that could have gone differently. And if we were to use those steps in what you just described, like how might it have been different, right? Like at first listening and saying like, okay, I understand what you're saying. And then whatever number 2 is, because I cannot think of it, but then ultimately saying like, how can we like work together to get like, it sounds like we both want the same thing. Like, how can we like make that happen?
So, you know, what's so funny? You mentioned that example I given, and mind you guys, we didn't see the video before, so I understand that, but it made me think about in that situation, why I felt threatened, and he called it out. It was I felt like I don't think he said character, but he was essentially saying you need to know who you are, and that was the thing that stood out to me. I don't, even though I don't remember what was being said, the feeling I remember having was if you knew who I was or how badly I wanted us all to succeed, we wouldn't be having this back and forth right now. Because again, the goal of the meeting was for all of us to come together, find ways that people who may have felt unsupported in the business, weren't getting the right, whatever they felt they needed, whether it was events being thrown at their house or events in locations, all this other stuff. And I remember then feeling that and I think it was like, I think I criticized her or something that didn't go well, wasn't received well. And I think my intention was my intention was to support or to just give criticism that would help, and it didn't come off that way. And so the person then that defended her, if that person knew me or my intention, then we wouldn't be having this. And so I definitely feel like when he brought that up in the video, that is, if you feel like who you are, if you are not sure about who you are, and I could definitely tell you that while building our first business, that was something that came up for me a lot. Just not knowing who I was, not being, I mean, there's tons of stuff that we've talked about in the first couple seasons, if you guys go back and look, about building our network marketing business, where whether it was jealousy from people who did better on the team, whether it was through sales, just other things that really made me question who I was or how good I was at things. And when he brought that up in the video, that's what really popped out to me, that, oh, I don't think in a lot of arguments or in a lot of arguments where I don't feel great, I feel like who I am is what's being challenged here. Someone is saying something about me or telling me I'm a certain way, and I don't feel that that's true of who I am. And emotionally, and Janelle spoke to this a lot in when she opened up today. Emotionally, I've not been taught, and I'll say it that way, where to go with that. And he gave great points. Because if I could have stopped in that moment, recognized I was feeling attacked or threatened, whatever the emotion was, and then stop to go, guys, why I want this to happen is for this, or the goal I had in what I said was this. Maybe we could have got the tracks back on got things back on track, but I just didn't know what I didn't know then. So this is great to watch. This was great though, and I definitely agree. This is one of those ones where go rewatch it.
P.S. That was number 1. Number 1 was identifying
Feeling
who
threatened?
you are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like we have to recognize that like most times when we're feeling emotional, it's because we feel like our identity or our character is being attacked. And so number one is figuring out who you are. That's why I was confused. Number two is making someone feel understood. And then number three was how can we work together? So I'm glad that you brought that up. That also comes up in Crucial Conversations. There's another book called Thank You for the Feedback. And it talks about how a lot of times people hear feedback and they hear it as an attack on their character. And that's why they get so emotional about it. So someone's like, well, you know, you could have done a little bit more of this, or you could have done it this way. And they're like, they feel like their character is being attacked. Like, what are they trying to say? Like that I'm stupid, that I'm not good at this, and I'm not smart. You know what I mean? And then like, it like riles up this whole thing. And so it's interesting to see how an attack on character or identity, that's another thing. Like if you identify as one thing and you feel like what somebody's saying is attacking who you are as a person, that's going to bring up strong emotions too, which typically don't allow for understanding and working together. So
yeah, certainly not. And obviously there are other instances that I think we could probably all say that we have not been our best, or maybe even felt threatened, you know, in a conversation or argument that goes completely not the way we thought it would, right?
100%. Well, this is great.
This definitely was a really good one. So guys, we hope you guys got a lot of value out of today's video. We'll make sure that we throw that up in the link that to this, so that, I keep forgetting, Janelle moves me. Links that to here so that you guys can go rewatch the video yourself, and we'll throw in another video for you guys to go check out that we think you guys will get some value from. And until then, we'll see you guys this week, Wednesday. You don't want to miss what we have coming up. It's going to be another amazing episode. In fact, actually, I'll give you guys a little prelude. We are talking about relationships in that one. So this week's episode on Wednesday is definitely going to be a lot of fun. So definitely make sure you guys don't miss it.
Agreed. And as always, remember, you deserve the good life.
Say that. We'll see you guys next week. Be well.